Well, obviously, a lot of news this week, a lot of stories to tell, a lot of details to talk about. But the thing that the chat wants to know most of all is, Johnny Million, is your cat okay? Hal Vickery is not the only one in our chat. She all right?
She's
on a personal note.
Right now, it's like I'm not trying to be like
dramatic
evasive about it, but like we took her in for the UTI, and we're gonna get some samples done of her urine, and they like actually go into the bladder to get the samples for
Yeah, they don't trust you to bring them in.
Yeah, no, because I'm like, I'm like, I think I've got some on my shirt.
Exactly. Yeah, or you're just gonna, go get, default to old habits and go buy some other cat's urine to just pass the test.
I got some clean urine. This one doesn't have any steroids or dope
like
in
your
it.
cat walking in there with a bag like tucked like under her fur.
Bag.
What? Why you got to stare at me? It's hard to start.
I'm trying to keep it warm, but so when they went in to take it out, they saw a mass inside her bladder.
Oh.
So they couldn't go in with the needle to get the urine out,
right?
Because they're like, if that's cancerous, then it's just cancer party,
right? Because you'll pop it and spread the whole thing, and
yeah, exactly. So right now we're like, she's 15. We're probably not going to do the chemo thing. We're just like working on comfort. So she's got some painkillers, and we're going to take her to another vet for a follow-up.
Right.
She's full of antibiotics. I give her a nice antibiotic shot. So
okay, good. All right. Well, our fingers are crossed, and I will be in Chicago the week of my birthday, the weekend of my birthday, because Sexy Liberal is coming to Chicago on the 24th of September.
Nice.
And so she has to at least hang in till then, so I can give her a hug and a pet when I come and visit.
We'll see.
So, yeah, all right.
Yeah, there's a good chance of that. She's not like withering, but
she's going to be resilient. Yeah, cats are strong that way. Now, the other thing is, Johnny, this is a rarity on the House Parks radio program, Mega Worldwide, and yet I'm happy when it does come up, because when it is, it's very important, is that there are a couple of areas of expertise that you have that are well outside, I would say, the realm of the average human being.
or socially acceptable.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's how it starts, I suppose. Is that you engage in activities that most people either shy away from just because they're good and decent people, or because they're easily grossed out or something like that. But but I'm talking about specifically skills that you have mastered over time. Now, most people know by this point that you are a masterful guitar player. I insist. And if you're listening in Chicago and you hear the bumper music, a good portion of what you're hearing is Johnny Million's instrumental album and tracks from that record. I mean, I've known you as an incredibly skilled guitar player since we were in high school together. From day one, it was annoying. It helps that you have giant alien face hugger like fingers that allow you to play different parts of the neck, as if the only way I could play that wide a spread on the guitar neck is if I had one that folded into 3 parts. So, but there's another.
Being irritated when I met you, I was like, "Oh, Jesus, he's funnier than I am."
Well, that's yeah. I stretch further in that direction than you do. I have more natural spread. What? Hey, come on. So, but there's another area where I am amazed. I've always been in my life a stand and fight type person, so I've never been into the runnings. And you, on the other hand, if we need help and it's far away, you're who I'm going to call. You can go a good. Yeah.
I am so pleased that this is where we're going.
Yes. Thanks to the, if there's an apocalypse going on and we need somebody to go, pick up the communication and bring it back old, Greco-Roman style, we can send you off and you'll be back in a relatively reasonable amount of days. Whereas I would have to probably camp out after sprinting 4 times over the course of 5 days. Now, the reason I'm asking you this is because you would be the perfect person to judge the gait, stamina, and speed and efficiency of running of one Josh Hallass, who was literally, insofar as we know, the only laugh out loud moment in the January 6th committee hearings. And if you listen to and watch the actual committee hearings, and you on a feed that allowed the audio from the room at the same time the clips were playing, which they turn off, by the way, on C-SPAN and some of the others, like Midas Touch and some of the others, they actually keep it going. And if and I think, actually, quite frankly, some of the bigger news organizations keep theirs on as well in case something occurs, but they don't air it while they're showing it. That the moment from Josh Hawley giving the fist, fisting the Trump supporters,
amazing.
From the moment that he, the hot cut that they did from him doing that kind of like, okay, here I go, jog, like up. There was a personality to it that quite frankly brought the house down. It was the single biggest laugh. And it's like a juxtaposition of the two topics we're talking about, like funny and running at the same time. Your thoughts on what?
Honestly, his form
Yes.
is decent.
Yeah, sure.
The clip where he's running from right to left, he's got he's leaning forward a little bit. He's not heel striking too bad. He's like in the middle of his soul. So like he seems to be an experienced runner.
Right. He would make, like, I mean, if you were picking a career for him, escapee.
Sure.
That'd be you know what, he'd make a great coward. He has a lot of those traits. Especially
he seems like he's way ahead of us.
Right. The fun part of being a coward, which is like being all like puffed up and, beating your chest at first and then running, because that's what makes it entertaining. If somebody's just a coward, it's kind of a little sad, but it actually has some entertainment value when they precede their cowardice with moments of sheer ego. That's what I enjoyed. And I mean, I found that picture of him holding his fist up particularly funny anyways, especially considering the kind of like brash wannabe machismo of the current younger level of the Republican Party. You know what I mean? A lot of gun wagging, a lot of, ironically, there seems to be a spectrum physically of these people. They either look like Ted Cruz, which I'm just saying, speaking of people you could outrun with one flight of stairs. And then the other end of the spectrum being Josh Hawley, who as tough as he wants to come across, and is of course how romantic his kisses look with his partner. I'm going to use the word partner because I've never seen that word. I've never seen that word apply better to a kiss in my life. I'm like, oh yeah, that's how you would kiss your partner if you were both, I don't know, launching a bakery and you'd never met. But he always looks to me like his suits are still on the hanger. You know what I mean? Like there's an element of like, at least Paul Ryan tried to look like a reject from NSYNC. You know what I mean? I'm going to be the buff one. Right. Hal Vickery, thank you for the regular contribution to the show via Super Chat. Thank you to the regular supporters of the show for keeping us on the air and making this possible. We are certainly ice skating uphill in the world of media, and it is because of you guys that we are here. And I can't thank you guys enough, especially our Patreon supporters, patreon.com/HalSparks. That is the most consistent thing that keeps us on the air. It's the one thing we can count on to make sure that the show continues to exist when the natural ebb and flow of the economy occurs. It's our long-term supporters that help us be here. So, and our Twitch subscribers and members on the other sites as well. Those are another way you can be consistent and support the show. Now, I hate doing that stuff, but I gotta, otherwise people forget.
Yeah, you gotta.
And then and it beats doing live reads lotion or my
big
pillow
pills.
or my
Yeah.
yes, right, yeah, or manscaping stuff or whatever, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
All of which I use, and I think mainly I would just be embarrassed to talk about these things because I
It
would
would immediately turn into like an
big
anecdotal
anecdote.
sponsorship. And
Yes,
you're like,
right.
oh, I don't want to. This is too much.
Yes, it'd be the TMI moment on the show every
Yeah.
week. You know what I mean? Yeah, this because I would say I'd be glad to sponsor something like Manscaped. I think that's a decent and caring thing to do for your partner as a male. But I what I fear and all that is the sound out. That's yeah, you know what I mean? Just everything's going fine. That's all right. And then like that.
I always picture the Tim Conway on Carol Burnett with the elephants. Snork.
Yes, right. That we have to take a break. Now, when I come back, Bannon's going to jail. Peter Navarro is on deck, which has got to be and there was a Trump rally last night that in a 6,000 seat hall that was only about 3/4 full, and it started to empty out as he was given the speech. It's just, I'm telling you, sometimes you just got to get up, put one foot in front of the other, and keep moving forward. And then eventually the world catches up to the fact that you're in this for the long haul, and that and the people who seem to be ahead of you drop by the wayside because of their own intransigence, idiocy, or self-destructive behaviors. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk. Welcome back to the show. As always, in my attempt to coordinate audio from all over the globe, I spend a good deal of time like playing whack-a-mole while I'm doing the show, which I gotta be frank, is a conscious, like it occupies a section of my brain during a check, and makes sometimes the deeper read stuff that I like to get engaged in a little more challenging, so it keeps it fresh. That's where I'm going with it. And I'm sticking with it. By the way, we're live at infotainmentwars.com and of course on fwank.com. Fwank, FWANQ.com. I had to, of course, buy that URL before Mike Lindell bought it up. Mike Pillow, who announced a new product this week. Mike.
Oh God.
My Coffee.
No.
Which he did his due diligence on. It is the best coffee you will ever wrap a lip around, I think, as my dad would say. And by due diligence, he met these people last month. His suppliers, they do the best stuff. He watched them test it right in front of him. And as a coffee expert. Yeah. Well, I mean, he seemed to be, apparently surprised, according to the big pitch he made on his network. He was surprised that apparently Colombia and Ecuador are places where they are uniquely suited to grow stimulating plants.
Yeah, that's news.
Yeah, I don't know why he wouldn't have put that together a couple of years ago, especially. All right. So it's been a bad news week for Peter Navarro, especially.
Who's he?
Peter Navarro. He's the weirdly. Let's see. How do we describe him? Because he looks like he's very, like, he's pretty well dressed most of the time. He's fairly articulate when he speaks. He was Trump's trade advisor, right? I'm blitzing because he didn't really do the job. And apparently, he's basically just there's like this weird parade of sycophants that if they weren't working at the DOD or they weren't working, specifically on national security or in his legal team, he was just filling spots with people he could whisper to. Basically, it was
the worst part about the parade of sycophants is the awful stuff they throw from their convertibles during the parade.
Yeah, it's true. I will often avoid that entirely.
Condoms.
That's why you bring a that's not the kind of sycophant. That's not what sycophant means.
Yeah, I was just trying to think of something bad to throw during a
It's
parade.
pretty bad. That's pretty bad. And now anytime you invite me to a parade, I'm bringing a tarp like it's a Gallagher show because I don't trust
I
you.
like that. That's pretty bad. Pretty
What
bad.
what kind of tarp? What kind of parade is this? None of your business. I'll show you when we get there. All right. So, um, Bannon was convicted on both charges this week. It was open and shut. And my favorite part of the entire thing was the fact that he, every day he's been defiant about stuff because he seems to buy this idea that being mouthy is enough to protect you.
Yeah. Oh,
I
yeah.
got news for everybody. It ain't. It works for Trump because other people are hugely invested in him not getting caught.
Yep.
That's how it's worked in New York for years, is that there's so many people in the system of New York, including Rudy Giuliani back in the day, that were so intertwined with his crime and his tax evasion and his, scamming HOAs and renters groups and all that stuff. There was and his mobbed up, and Russian connections where they're actually running gambling and human trafficking out of his building, out of Trump Tower. That they have to protect him. So it isn't that his technique of being over the top and mouthy and confrontational and punching back and all that stuff worked. It was that it wasn't enough to cause harm to the protection racket that he was engaged in.
Right.
And the problem
It's
is,
not that he's bulletproof. It's that there were a lot of people with dustpans and brooms behind him.
yeah, or throwing themselves in front of him because, if they don't catch the bullet, they'll, for him, they'll catch the chair. There's a chance,
Yeah.
there's, they're choosing woundings over survival in that regard. So, and we looked at this with Michael Cohen. I mean, they should have learned this lesson with Michael Cohen. No one was closer to Trump, arguably, that's gone down this hard than Michael Cohen. I mean, he was literally his fixer. He only had one other client, apparently, or maybe two, because it was client number one was Trump. Client number three was Sean Hannity.
I forgot about that.
Right? And we still don't know what Michael Cohen, quote, fixed for Sean Hannity. That in and of itself is a book waiting to happen. So,
yeah.
But they should have learned that if Trump's not going to protect Michael Cohen, knowing as much as Michael Cohen knows, and just let him go to jail, even when he defended him. He went to the mat for him. That unless Steve Bannon thinks he's got something on Trump that is so powerful that Trump has to protect him in some way, I don't know why he thinks this will work, other than the fact that he is an egomaniacal moron, which is obviously a factor you have to birds of a feather into this circumstance. Now, right after he got convicted, he came out and said that he kept calling this was going to be the misdemeanor from hell. Like they've been doing this laptop from hell, hard drive from hell. He's the one who screws up the fact that there is no Hunter Biden laptop. And I repeat, there is no Hunter Biden laptop. There's no laptop. There never was. There's not going to be. It's all manufactured. And just because you have a hard drive called laptop doesn't make it a laptop. If you don't believe me, go buy a hard drive, write the word laptop on it, and then try to open it and look at the screen. I rest my case. How does the keyboard work? So anyways, he came out there and said, this is just the beginning. We're gonna win this on appeal. My guess is because this is about his intransigence, he's gonna go to jail pending appeal. He's gonna start serving his sentence, whether it's he'll get 2 years and then he'll end up doing 16 months or something like that, which is fairly standard in these kind of situations, is another conversation entirely. But the idea that somehow he can, they're going to definitely make a motion to have him not go to jail awaiting appeal. But there's no real reason logistically why you would do that as a judge, because A, he's a flight risk. Period. End of story. The man One of his best friends is a Chinese dissident, alleged dissident, and that's the problem you have, who has a giant, yacht that he could disappear to in an afternoon. If Navarro can't fly to Tennessee without the DOJ having reason to believe that he's going to skip town via Nashville, you sure as heck can't let Steve Bannon roam around with the kind of folks he knows, and even just the security personnel that he knows. Because if anybody can get an ankle bracelet off you and attach it to a dog that will walk around the house, it's people that Steve Bannon met while he was hanging with Trump in the White House. So the idea is that he's going to skip or try to skip. So why wait so long to sentence Bannon, I wonder, says Deb B in our chat. I would say it's a standard amount of time. Usually there's a get your life in order kind of thing, especially when it comes to what would effectively be nonviolent crimes. You do have a period of time. If it's a violent crime, they move to sentencing fairly quickly, or they just put you in jail awaiting sentencing, knowing that because of your conviction, you're going to get years, so the months aren't going to make a difference. If months will make a difference in a charge like this, where you could get 8 months or 16 months or 2 years or the max, whatever it is, then they'll wait between you can get out. And if you're, a lot of times it's quite frankly, it's a matter of who you know and who the judge perceives you to be. Remanding him immediately awaiting trial would be something if they, if the state moved that he was a flight risk right away. And I know they brought it up, which is why they want to move quickly. But believe me, they've got eyeballs on him, and he can't leave anyways, because the way Steve Bannon makes money right now is doing the War Room podcast on Frank's speech and Real America's Voice. That's his bread and butter, which I suppose he can do without a camera from jail, but we'll see. We're going to take a break. We'll be back right after this. This is the House Sparks Radio program, mega worldwide on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk, AM 820.